I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was a freshman in high school. I was introduced to it by an upperclassman, and as a lover of movies and fun plots, I fell in love with the hijinks and the endless possibilities that was this tabletop RPG. I've been a dungeon master for over 2 years now, so believe me when I say that the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves was a blast. From the beginning, I was having a lot of fun, and it really made me feel like I was watching a campaign unfold. From each twist and turn to the subtle nod of the 6-second turns that go one at a time, each character seemed realistically crafted by actual players that had their own distinct personalities. The whole movie ties itself together quite strongly, and I was surprised at how well it followed the rules of D&D. Today I'll be unpacking the plot, world building, characters, and general likes and dislikes in the movie, in what D&D Honor Among Thieves got right about character development. So, spoilers ahead, and watch this with caution. This is Flanagan Film, and I'm just starting this channel. Dungeons & Dragons, for those of you who don't know, is a game with players and a dungeon master, or as some people call them, game masters. The dungeon master creates the game and plays all of the NPCs or other characters not controlled by players and handles combat and setting description. Players control one character they play as, kind of like playing a video game like Skyrim or Fallout or just like any RPG kind of style like one-player game. They work together for a common goal amongst other players along plot, what's formally called as a campaign. Honor Among Thieves follows a party of 4, Simon the half-elf sorcerer, Doric the tiefling druid, and the 2 humans, Edgin the bard and Holga the barbarian. We start with Edgin and Holga in prison, trying their best to get a pardon so they can get out of prison. Worried it won't get approved, Holga and Edgin end up tackling an Aarakocra, which is like a humanoid bird, out the window and fly away from it, despite being their pardon approved. Which, if that's not the most D&D thing I've ever heard, I swear to God, it got a real laugh out of me. But then they make their way back to discover that their friend Forge had betrayed them and gotten them caught, and was now turning them in. Eager to get revenge and get Edgin's daughter back from their friend, they recruit Simon and Doric to help them break into Forge's castle, in kind of this big, ginormous heist, kind of. And on their way, they meet a non-player character named Zanique, who, as a DM, I have had to shoehorn in a badass hero NPC character to help my party. I found him hilarious, and he basically helps them get a helmet that can get them into the castle, because it's guarded by this enchanted spell, and this helmet can stop said spells. They head into the Underdark and, yes, fight the big fat dragon. Returning to the surface, they attempt to break into the castle, but are caught and then placed into an arena for a battle of death. After they escape mid-game to return to the castle, only to discover that the town is in danger. Blah blah blah, big fight against main bad guy, everyone lives happily ever after, the end. Now as plots go, that's pretty basic. We've got a hook, rising action, turning point, falling action, and conclusion. But in my opinion, plots that follow that basic triangle plot principle aren't necessarily a bad thing. What matters is the plot is thoroughly crafted and the characters are likable and go through meaningful character development. Unlike another movie I saw same week in theaters. So the 2 characters who I think go through the most character development are Edgin the Bard and Simon the Sorcerer. Simon's character development focuses a lot on him becoming a powerful sorcerer, and he's stunted at only being able to do simple magic akin to first level kind of spells in D&D. He actually uses an actual kind of magic in D&D called wild magic, magic that requires strong will and high rolls if you want what you want to go the way you want. Throughout the movie, he casts a lot of doubt on himself and his ability, claiming he can't do things unless he really needs to. Edgin hypes him up, and Simon struggles with himself, and his biggest roadblock comes when he's required to attune to the magic helm that will actually get them into the castle. Attunement is important to become one with and use magical items. Usually it's down to a simple modifier and a roll, but in the way the movie uses it is actually pretty cool with its creative liberties, making the attunement go hand in hand with Simon's ancestor, an extremely powerful sorcerer judging him and telling him he's not ready. Obviously, Simon fails again and again until he stands up to the vision of his dead ancestors, telling him that it's his own life and that he's already lived his. Simon successfully attunes to it and gets in the castle. Yay! I enjoyed his character development a lot, and I felt for Simon. I feel for the anxiety of not being enough and the fear of failure, and seeing that being portrayed correctly through Simon was touching to see. His anxiety wasn't solved immediately, and he didn't just immediately grow and fix every problem. He still showed some fear in the final battle, but again managed to overcome it, showing systemic growth and actually solving problems and continuing to grow as a person rather than just boom, magically solved. And it felt deserving and earned. However, Edgin's character development really hit me hard. Seeing his development through the movie was probably the most emotionally heartwarming development I've seen in a while. In the beginning of the movie, and I mean in the very beginning of the movie, we see Edgin explaining why he should be let go out of prison in this kind of let me tell you my sob story or whatever, and this is also another one of those moments where you're just this is very, very D&D, because I cannot tell you how many players I have had be oh, well, it's fine if I stab this guy or, break Geneva Convention because I was orphaned as a child, and I'm just kind of sitting there yes, so was the rest of the party. But in the beginning of the movie, we learn that Edgin's wife was killed by red wizards, leaving him to raise his daughter alone. He tried his best to steal a tablet of reawakening to bring his wife and daughter's mother back to life, only to get arrested for 2 years. When he comes back, his daughter is upset because Forge lied to her and told her that Edgin was actually after a tablet of riches rather than reawakening. He continues to try and convince his daughter, but she's just not buying it. Getting this tablet and getting Edgin's daughter back is kind of the driving force of this campaign. Edgin wants the tablet so he can bring back his daughter's mother, though. Throughout this, Edgin realizes that he's been a bit of a bad friend and a father. While yes, he loves his daughter, he hasn't been there for her. He's been in jail for years, and when he did come back, all he said was that he needed the tablet for everything to be okay. He actively calls himself out around the middle of the movie that he does in fact expect a lot of the group, that he blames everything except for himself, and he apologizes for what he's done, but not in a way that actually calls for pity. After this, he also realizes that the whole time he wasn't getting his daughter's mother back, he was getting his wife back. Now, I don't know entirely if I've mentioned this, but Holga actually is, in Edgin's daughter's eyes, her motherly figure. She doesn't necessarily need or want her mother back because she died before she could even sit up. She didn't really even know her mother. Now, this is amazing character development for this character. I love Edgin's journey so much, especially because it's refreshing, non-toxic masculinity of this film. He learns to admit his wrongs and how much of a jerk he's been. He actively grows as a person, and he isn't just a brooding male character or hot guy for people to oogle at either. He's actually pretty funny and witty. One thing that is very make or break about a character for me is that if your character is witty, I can't stand them always having a retort and always being cool. And he actually gets made fun of a little, as well as poking his own fun, making this actually very real character that doesn't seem too powerful in a charismatic or just, powerful way. It makes him very real. And this whole movie, in the end, just feels very real. I could go on for hours about just how happy I am that they use practical effects and the upcoming return of them, but I wanted to dedicate this video to its strengths of character development. I'll probably talk more about practical effects and everything when the Five Nights at Freddy's movie gets dropped, but for now, this is Flanagan Film, and you just watched what D&D Horror Among Thieves got right about character development. Thank you, and goodbye.